Hello everyone, I am Mr.Dishwasher. In the previous episode, we mentioned that Luffy departed from Thriller Bark and continued his journey. After a long voyage, they reached the Red Line, signifying that the Straw Hat crew has completed half of the Grand Line. Unexpectedly, they rescued the mermaid Cammy and the starfish Papag. They learned that Cammy's friend, Hatchan, was abducted by the Flying Fish Riders, a group of human traffickers. The captors demanded Cammy to meet them at the Sabaody archipelago. As it turns out, both mermaids and fishmen are considered high-quality slaves and are often captured by villains. When they met, Nami recognized Hatchan as a former member of the Arlong pirates. Nonetheless, Luffy decided to assist Cammy and successfully rescued Hatchan. During their encounter with the leader of the human traffickers, Duval, they were astonished to find that he bore an uncanny resemblance to Sanji, who had a bounty on his head. Due to this peculiar similarity, Duval was mistakenly targeted and developed a grudge against Sanji. Eventually, Sanji's swift actions and kicks transformed Duval into an attractive man, resolving the conflict. Furthermore, Luffy showcased his Haoshiku haki for the first time. Afterwards, both parties reconciled, and Nami also forgave Hatchan. Papag informed the Straw Hat crew that there are two ways to enter the New World. One is through the world government's headquarters, Mariajoa, located underground, and the other is by passing through Fishman Island from the sea floor. However, to reach Fishman Island, the ship needs to be coated with a special resin that can isolate seawater. So, they arrived at the Sabaody archipelago to find a coating craftsman that Hatchan knows, to coat the Thousand Sunny. The Sabaody archipelago is composed of countless mangroves, and the coating resin is produced here. On the island, Luffy encountered the Celestial Dragons for the first time. The Celestial Dragons are descendants of the 20 royal families who established the world government 800 years ago. They possess supreme power and the authority to kill at will. Witnessing the atrocities committed by the Celestial Dragons, Luffy was furious. However, Hatchan stopped him from attacking them, as hurting the Celestial Dragons would result in the Marine dispatching admirals to suppress them. So, Luffy had to reluctantly let the Celestial Dragons go. Later, they arrived at the tavern where the coating ship was located. The owner, Shaki, informed them that the coating master, Rayleigh, was not currently present. She also introduced the 11 Supernovas, pirates with bounties exceeding 100 million berries. Apart from Luffy and Zoro, the other 9 are as follows. Capone Beach, the gang. Jewelry Bonnie, the Big Eater. Basil Hawkins, the Magician. Scratchman Apu, the Roar of the Sea. Eustace Kid, the Captain. X Drake, the Red Flag. Urage, the Mad Monk. Killer, the Murder Machine. Trafalgar D. Law, the Surgeon of Death. Among them, Kid's bounty is 315 million berries, which is even higher than Luffy's. Killer, the Murder Machine, is also a member of his crew. After leaving the tavern, Luffy and the others set out to find Rayleigh, the master of coding. Along the way, they took Cammy to the amusement park for some fun. Although Cammy was once concerned about her safety due to the threat of slave traders capturing merfolk, she finally let go of her worries under Luffy's protection and happily enjoyed the long-awaited Ferris wheel ride. However, the mermaid traders targeted her and secretly captured her, taking her to the auction house. On the other side, Zoro encountered Celestial Dragons enslaving the laborers. He blocked their path and asked if they needed directions, ready to teach them a lesson with his sword. Fortunately, Bonnie intervened just in time to prevent a disaster. Later, Luffy and the others learned about Cammy being auctioned off, and they quickly gathered and planned a rescue. To avoid unnecessary trouble, they decided to use their entire 200 million to buy Cammy. However, to their surprise, the Celestial Dragon Charlos bid 500 million berries, and the auction hall fell silent. At that moment, Hatchan accidentally revealed his fishman identity, leading to people's insults and ridicule. The Celestial Dragon responded by shooting at him. This scene enraged Luffy, but Hatchan firmly held him back, urging him not to act impulsively. At this moment, the Celestial Dragons continued to babble and even wanted to shoot Hatchan again. This became unbearable for Luffy, and he walked step by step toward the Celestial Dragons. After evading countless bullets, Luffy raised his hand and delivered a powerful punch. With this satisfying and exhilarating punch, Luffy effortlessly knocked down Charlos. Chaos broke out in the auction, and the Straw Hat crew started fighting with the guards. In the midst of the turmoil, another celestial dragon tried to attack Cammy. In this critical moment, Rayleigh, who was supposed to be auctioned off after losing at gambling, suddenly appeared. He swiftly defeated the celestial dragon, rescuing Cammy, and used Haoshiku Haki to subdue everyone in the room. In fact, Rayleigh had another identity. He was the former first mate of the Pirate King, Roger. On the other hand, Admiral Kizaru, upon hearing that Luffy assaulted a celestial dragon, volunteered to go to Sabaody archipelago to arrest him. By this time, the Marines had completely surrounded the auction house. Seeing the situation, Luffy joined forces with Kid and Law, who were also present, to fight against the Marines. The battlefield instantly turned into a grand spectacle, with Kid and Law showcasing their respective abilities. Kid possessed the power of the Magnet fruit, while Law had the abilities of the Op fruit. After the intense battle, they managed to deal with the Marines and protected each other while making their escape. On their way, Kid and Law encountered an obstacle in the form of the tyrant Kuma, and engaged in a battle with him. Meanwhile, the Straw Hat crew returned to Shaki's bar. Rayleigh revealed that Roger turned himself into the Marines because he had an incurable illness. He had led an extraordinary life and ushered in a brand new era.
俺は死なねえぜ、相棒。あの日ほど笑った夜はない。あの日ほど泣いた夜も。我が船長ながら見事な人生だった。
In the end, Roger illuminated the entire world of the sea with his extraordinary life. On that day, many aspiring young talents who witnessed his execution were inspired, and today, many of them have become influential figures in the new world. It must be acknowledged that the life of the Pirate King, Roger, was truly remarkable. Now, in the present time, Usopp spoke up and inquired Rayleigh about the truth of One Piece. For Luffy, the most crucial aspect is not just the truth of One Piece but the exhilarating process of exploration itself. Engaging in free-spirited adventures on the sea is what defines a true pirate. The Pirate King is the freest man in this vast ocean. Following this, Rayleigh mentioned that the Sunny would require 3 days for coating. So, the Straw Hat crew temporarily bid farewell to Cammy and the others and retreated into hiding. However, by this time, Admiral Kizaru had already arrived at Sabaody archipelago. Possessing the powers of the Glint fruit, he was the fastest man in the world, with his speed reaching that of light. Moreover, he took delight in taunting his opponents, and while expressing how fearsome he was, he kicked the Supernovas away. Under Kizaru's terrifying might, Hawkins, Apu, Drake, and Urich were all defeated. Additionally, accompanying Kizaru were Sentomaru and several Kuma-like pacifistas, all of which were artificial humans created by the scientist Vegapunk, codenamed Pacifistas. Their power was immense, and even the Supernovas couldn't match them. At the same time, the Straw Hat crew also encountered pacifistas as their opponents. The opponents' potent laser cannon left the entire Straw Hat Pirates crew in a dire state. Fortunately, they united their strengths to fight against them, eventually defeating the pacifistas. However, just as everyone was exhausted, Captain Sentomaru of the Marine Science Unit appeared with another cloned Kuma. Kizaru also joined and took down Zoro with one swift attack. At this moment, the Straw Hat crew launched a frenzied assault against Admiral Kizaru, but he could manipulate his body into elements, rendering all their attacks futile. Kizaru then launched a deadly kick toward Zoro. At a critical moment, Rayleigh finally appeared and saved Zoro just in time. He engaged in an intense battle with Admiral Kizaru, and neither could gain the upper hand. However, despite Kizaru being held back by Rayleigh, Luffy, and the others were still no match for Sentomaru and the pacifistas. Suddenly, the real tyrant Bartholomew Kuma made his appearance. With a single slap, he sent Zoro flying and, in front of Luffy's eyes, proceeded to slap each of the Straw Hat members one by one. Those sent flying by Kuma would remain airborne for 3 days and nights before eventually landing, and only Kuma himself would know where they would fall. Feeling utterly powerless at this moment, Luffy slammed the ground in frustration. He watched as the last remaining member, Robin, was sent flying by Kuma, but he was helpless to do anything. At this point, Admiral Kizaru questioned Kuma, demanding accountability for what was happening. However, Kuma paid no attention to Kizaru, whispering secretly with Rayleigh and mentioning that his own situation was also precarious. Then, Kuma approached Luffy.
もう二度と会うことはない。さらばだ。
Finally, Kuma ruthlessly swatted Luffy away, and he vanished into the sky. It marked the Straw Hat crew's first encounter with such a significant catastrophe, leaving Luffy deeply aware of his own powerlessness. Unbeknownst to him, Kuma was actually the most dangerous person in that situation. Nonetheless, the turmoil in Sabaody archipelago came to an end. After an extensive journey through the sky, Luffy arrived at the Island of Women, Amazon Lily. There, he unintentionally ingested poisonous food, covering his body with mushrooms. Fortunately, Marguerite and her companions, who happened to pass by, came to Luffy's rescue. They helped remove all the mushrooms from his body, but one particularly stubborn mushroom remained. It was during this time that they were surprised to discover that Luffy was, in fact, a man. According to the island's rule, men were forbidden from approaching, leading them to imprison Luffy while curiously observing him, especially the glowing mushroom. However, Luffy managed to escape from prison, taking Marguerite as a hostage during his getaway. While on the run, Luffy shared his story with Marguerite, deeply moving her and forging a friendship. From Marguerite, Luffy first learned about haki, which can be categorized into Busashoku haki, Kenbunchaku haki, and Haoshiku haki. Busashoku haki enhances both attack and defense, and can be employed against Logia-type devil fruit users. Kenbunchaku haki grants the ability to foresee an opponent's attacks. Haoshiku haki is a rare talent possessed only by the extraordinary few, capable of rendering others unconscious with just a glance. Later, Luffy unexpectedly found himself in the palace of the Amazon Lily, where he encountered the warlord of the sea, Empress Boa Hancock. She is renowned as the world's most beautiful woman and leads the Kuja pirates. Her power can petrify those enchanted by her beauty. While in the bathhouse, Luffy noticed the celestial dragon's mark, the hoof of the dragon, on Hancock's back. Consequently, Hancock apprehended Luffy and ordered her two sisters to publicly duel him to the death. Despite being initially at a disadvantage, Luffy awakened Haoshiku haki once more and, utilizing Gear Second's incredible speed, defeated his opponents. However, when the slave mark on his opponent's back was about to be exposed, Luffy desperately covered it with his body, recalling Hancock's words about the taboo of revealing their backs to others. This surprising action shocked Hancock, who called off Luffy's execution and reconciled with him. Following this, Hancock showed Luffy her naked back and revealed her past as a former slave of the Celestial Dragons, freed by Fisher Tiger's slave emancipation movement of the Sun Pirates. However, this is a secret that the sisters cannot disclose publicly. Later, Luffy learned from an elderly woman on the Island of Women about Ace's impending execution. Ace was being held at Impel Down, the underwater prison. The Whitebeard pirates were planning a rescue mission for Ace, eventually leading to the Summit War, a major battle between them and the Marines. At this moment, Luffy decided to first go to Impel Down to rescue Ace. Having experienced this series of events, it became apparent that Luffy, unlike others, was not captivated by Hancock's beauty. Instead, it was Hancock who couldn't help but fall in love with Luffy. She pretended to accept the world government's call and went to confront Whitebeard, but her true intention was to help Luffy reach Impel Down and rescue Ace. Meanwhile, to confront the Whitebeard pirates, Sengoku assembled all the warlords of the sea. However, one man refused to comply and willingly relinquished his position as a warlord. This man was Jinbe, who staunchly pursues justice and peace. On the other side, Garp, the grandfather of Ace, also arrived at Impel Down to visit him. After many years, the two were reunited, with differing viewpoints but unwavering affection. Ace was deeply moved, and tears welled up in his eyes. The rest of the Straw Hat crew safely reached their respective destinations. Nami was taken to the small sky island, Weatheria. Frankie arrived at Vegapunk's homeland, Karakuri Island. Chopper appeared in Torino Kingdom, a land ruled by birds over humans. Sanji was taken to the long-awaited paradise, Momwaro Island. Robin arrived at Tequila Wolf, a bridge construction site where the world government oppresses the workers, who have been toiling on the bridge for over a century. Additionally, Usopp reached Boyne Archipelago, and Zoro appeared in Hawkeye's castle, where he encountered Perona. Lastly, Brook arrived at Lazy Bones Island, where he was mistaken for a deity and developed an interest in a female follower, making a bold request.
パンツ見せてもらってもよろしいですか？パンツだ！男の方のパンツはちょっと、
Thus, the Straw Hat crew temporarily parted ways, each embarking on their own thrilling adventures. Luffy set out for Impel Down, determined to rescue his brother Ace, even if it means risking his life. That concludes the events in the Sabaody Archipelago and Amazon Lily arcs. This section serves as a transitional chapter, showcasing the vast scale of the new world and introducing numerous new characters for future plot developments. It also marks a crucial turning point as the One Piece narrative departs from the episodic format and embraces a more interconnected storyline, with the Straw Hat crew dispersing for the first time, each venturing to different places to confront the challenges of the new world. The forthcoming story holds even greater excitement. Until next time, thank you all, and goodbye.